video. Slash played 4 days, 23 hours, and still 65 deaths, 97. Stats are all pretty much the same. I legit didn't change anything since the last time, so I'll just show you the stats like usual. 5.13, 209 attack speed modifier, and in City of Zarn, 40k. So I guess that's without the dude. If I have the dude up, then I guess I'll have little more damage. 41k. So it's the same thing as yesterday. Today I'm gonna kind of do something different. A lot of times I get these requests where people show me the character page and they ask me, oh, what should I improve? What should I do? So I'm gonna give you like 2 examples of people's characters that they let me like show. So this guy's like a level 72 trickster. This is fairly early in his character progression, so he hasn't gotten Shane form yet, you know. I think I did my merciless one at 83. So if you look at his tree, it follows a general pathing. I would actually get the jewels first, like this jewel, and like this jewel. And I wouldn't even go to the Templar area until later, because the jewels can get like 3 damage mods. So that's pretty good. And like this power charge is really not that needed until you get the endurance on your belt, because you cannot reach 6 endurance if you only have 5 power charges. So that's it, and everything else seems pretty standard. You see he picks up the ES over here, damage and crit, and Ghost Reaver, Chaos Inoculation, Elemental Equilibrium, and you don't really have to spec into here that much if you feel like you need the points for somewhere else. And you see he has like added cold on his ring, so he has that. He doesn't have devotion yet, so in terms of gear wise, he has just some dagger with crit. That's fine. He has, you know, some 300 ES helm and some 400 ES shield, which is actually quite good gear for his level. And, you know, some boots with 107, rings with resist, and he is running, leveling up some gems. He's got Purity of Fire, Purity of Lightning, and he's got a Discipline on one of these links. So, you know, he's doing well. Another big part of it is Flask, so you want to get move speed Flask. If you can get the Flask nodes, that helps up a lot for your move speed Flask and gives you a little bit of max res. So that's good. And you also want to hit cannot bleed and cannot be frozen. He needs to hit a cannot be frozen Flask, which I told him when he showed me at the time, because if you're CI, you have to solve those 2 problems. You're very susceptible to freeze and stun. So Cyclone solves the stunning, because you can't get stunned while cycloning, and you need to solve the freeze and bleed. Every character has to solve bleed, which is basically use a flask suffix for it, and freeze is just another one of those things that CI has to have. You could use Dream Fragments, but I don't think that's good. Yeah, so that's that character. For level 70, his gear is pretty good, 300, 400. If you have better gear, you can switch much earlier. Voidbringer is alright too. So this is pretty standard gear. 72, I wouldn't like spec into this area until way later, like maybe like 85 plus, because you can, you know, get jewel sockets over here, and you're kind of short on points in general. So another guy, he's level 90, and his gear is pretty good too, you know, 300 here, 360 here. He's got a devotion and a 5 link. So you can see he used Blade Vortex instead of Life Leech. The other guys use Life Leech, and since he used Blade Vortex, he has to use a Warlord's Mark somewhere. Yeah, Blasphemy Warlord's Mark. And that is because he needs to get Leech somewhere. Otherwise, you can't sustain your damage. You're just gonna get wrecked. So, you know, he's got some decent gear too. He just has some crit dagger, Elrion rings. I mean, not Elrion rings, diamond rings, and Vol's Devotion. And pretty much all he needs to do is just upgrade all his gear slowly, you know, some ES Rainbow Stripe boots, and get a 6 link. He's pretty much set for that. I don't remember if the other guy had Diamond Flask, but you want a Diamond Flask at all times. Yeah, there you go. He has one. So he has Move Speed Flask as well, and Armor, Freeze, Shock, and he has a Bleed. So his flasks are okay. Usually you want to roll something that's like higher move speed, but you know, if you can't get one that's super high, it's fine if you can get like a 24, 20 and just replace it later. So that's fine. And his tree is like, you know, pretty much the same thing. Yeah, so if you can get like just jewels with any sort of attack speed and multi 3 mod, they should be really cheap. And again, you see he has endurance charge and he gets the power. Otherwise, there's no point getting 6 endurance charges without the 6 power charge. You cannot get 6 endurance charges. Like, you won't actually get the 6 endurance if you only have 5 power. So, as you can see in his jewels, he values attack speed a bit more, but I don't think fire damage is a very good mod. You can drop this if you feel like you don't need the crit chance for discharge and stuff like that in Blade Vortex, because you have a diamond to cap out your crit to really high levels. So you spend the points elsewhere in, say, like 3-point jewels, and you get damage that way instead of just getting 15 multi and 95 spell crit. But that's up to you. Otherwise, the tree is like exactly the same thing, pretty standard. He's 90, so he can fill out this area. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much Vol's Devotion, 6 Link Protector, and like ES gears, and you can cap out some stuff with like multi-mod dagger, or get really expensive shields and helms. So I'm just gonna play a map and show you what a typical map today looked like. Something like this, or that, doesn't really matter. Mapping's been pretty brutal lately. Haven't been getting maps, so my map pool is almost out. Like, I've got nothing but Necropolis now, which is pretty painful. So, oh yeah, you gotta watch out for like reflect mobs. If your damage starts pushing really high, the reflect mob is like, I think the rare reflect mobs are 20% reflect. So in order to like out leech it, you need to, if you only leech like 2%, you need to actually you need to mitigate 90% of the reflect damage. So you need like 90 resist to outleech the reflect mob, and normally that's not too bad if your ES pool is high enough. So unless you're starting to hit like really crazy discharge average damages, then I wouldn't really worry about it. But say you do have an issue with like reflect mob, what you can do is you can drop one of the purities and try using a warlord's, but that's not going to save you in all situation like a warlord's blasphemy, because sometimes it will be like a reflect curse immune, or you know, some sort of curse immune map, and in that case you're just totally screwed. But yeah, if you're having trouble with reflect, either up your ES or drop your deeps. It should be pretty hard to die with like 10k ES if your average damage discharge is like 40k. I can only see you dying with like 8k ES and like 70k discharge or like 60k discharge. Maybe 2 hits of a reflect would kill you. So yeah, reflect mobs are problematic. The reflect map is actually 15%, I think, but the mob itself, the rare mob that has reflect, is 20, so it's quite a bit higher. And 2% leech is the standard amount for life leech. You can't really get any more besides like special methods such as Sign, Ascendancy, or Blasphemy, Warlord's Mark. So if you're worried about dying to certain things, number one is probably just a Porcupines, Reflect, Volatile, those combos, like, which are you kill me, I kill you kind of thing. So those are probably like number one killers of this character. But with like 10k ES, you shouldn't worry too much about anything. You don't really have to pay attention, to be honest. So it's pretty chill. But yeah, there are some situations like if it's minus max and you know it's reflect, then it gets even worse, and you probably will like wreck yourself. So be careful on minus max maps, and maybe consider running a warlords if you want like super safety. But it doesn't apply to all situations. So, like I said, curse immune maps, curse immune rares. Oh yeah, the other thing is you don't want to die to bears. That kind of stuff I mentioned before, you have to just uh, play in a way that makes sure that you don't get killed by bears ever, and you do that by playing in a way that always assumes everything is a bear. So the time that it is a bear, you're already away and safe. Versus trying to out. The mistake I think is if you try to out maneuver it at the moment that you see it. Like if you're trying to outplay it at the time, you want to do everything you can to try to make it as easy as possible for you to not have to outplay situations at all. You don't want to have to outplay like everything in an ARPG. You want to make your character built in a way so you don't have to do anything. You just, you know, breeze through and don't have to outplay anything and you're good to go. If you feel like, oh, I need to play this ARPG in like a skillful way, otherwise, I'll die. You don't want to make your character stressing you out when you play. You just want to make your character super easy and like, not have to do anything. So that's pretty much it. Bears are pretty dangerous though, so keep your eyes out for that. But besides that, if you're still watching at this point, there's not much to say. It's just gear and leveling and a lot of map grinding. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.